Hey guys, my name is Garrison Snelling. I am the founder of RemoteTogether. I have a special guest today. This is our first podcast series that we're really excited about. RemoteTogether is a network or support network around people who work remote. And so that's something that we're really interested in. We're really interested in working with people who work remote. And so we see deficiencies there. We see issues that kind of revolve around support networks for people that work remote. I've worked remote for almost 6+ years. And so I see things that are just not necessarily fun to deal with. The idea of cabin fever, it's a real thing. I can tell you that after 6 years, that cabin fever does actually happen. And so at RemoteTogether, we're trying to address those issues. We're trying to solve that pain point. I think that it's an important issue to solve. I think that for me personally, I would like this solved. And then I think just looking at my friends who work remote, I have family members who work remote. I think that it'd be excellent if we could try and help them work remote. I think if you look at the trends of working from home, there are going to be more people going towards that in the next decade probably than any other decade. I think right now it's under, like 100,000 people are working from home in the US, and I think it's probably going to grow into the millions. And so if we can't kind of work through the deficiencies of support networks and all that kind of stuff, then I think that it's going to pose a problem. And so that's why I've created RemoteTogether. You can check us out at RemoteTogether.com or follow us on Twitter. Shortly after this podcast today, we're going to be launching a forum, and that's going to be stage 1 of RemoteTogether. We have a lot of great things planned, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Kalen Jordan. He should be in here any minute now. I'm sure he's going through the sign-up process or something like that. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a developer by trade. I work for a large company. I'm based in Auburn, Alabama. And naturally, the best way to work for a technology company in Alabama really is to work remote. And so that's what I've done. Initially, I was looking to get hired by some companies in Birmingham, Alabama, which is the largest city in Alabama. And I was looking at the pay grades, and it was a little off. And so I applied to some companies in Los Angeles and Minnesota and some other different places, and eventually got a couple of offers. And so there were a lot more than the companies in Birmingham. And so working remote all of a sudden became very important. It turned out that my skill set was quite valuable to people in other markets. And so I think that if anybody knew this for sure, that basically, they could have a higher salary if they didn't work in their state, I think they definitely do it. Also, so number one, remote's beneficial because of pay. Number two, remote is beneficial because of lifestyle. I make my own hours. I work when I want to. If I get the stuff done, if I work 8 hours in a day, nobody asks questions. And that's pretty sweet. If I get sick, I don't really have to take a sick day. I go to the doctor, get some medicine. 3 hours later, I get back to cranking. And so I think that's something that's really awesome about working remote. But once again, going back to the deficiencies that I've seen is that it's really hard to have a support network. I live in a college town, and so I'm surrounded by a bunch of different friends. But even then, there are days when it's not fun, when I have to work and I'm kind of just sitting at home by myself, where I spend, a good solid 16 hours at home, not kind of sleep. That's not exactly fun. Oh, it looks like Kalen Jordan is here. Here we go. He got through the blob. That's a pun. I like that. Kalen Jordan.
What the? Oh, you know what? It's doing the wrong mic. Or it's doing the wrong. It's doing the wrong camera. Let me see if I can. As fascinating as that is, as far as television goes, let me see. Do you know if there's a way to get it to use a different camera? As far as like my main display versus the laptop. Sometimes these web-based things are a little crazy.
Ooh, okay.
You know, let me just reconnect real quick here. Let me pop out.
Okay. Kalen's going to pop out for a second while we get this thing rolling. This is what the fun is all about, podcasting. Also, you can't give props to yourself, just FYI, and blob, so don't even try. It'll turn out poorly. Not really, just can't do it. Kalen is the founder of Mage Mail and Good Links. He's a serial entrepreneur. He wakes up every morning and eats cereal, and then he becomes even more of an entrepreneur. I realize that's a really bad joke, but I just wanted to kind of make it. So I guess as we're going through this process of podcasts and you watching my podcast, you kind of got to get to know me. And I really love awful jokes. And when I say awful, I mean like I pretty much am the only one that thinks they're funny. So sadly, I work remote, and so I have to entertain myself with my own jokes. Once again, a great reason why a support network would be awesome. Here we go.
And we're in business.
There we go.
What's up, brother? By the way, small minor correction. It's Kalen, not Kalen.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kalen.
This is the first problem with working remote is everything's by, computers. So even basic things like that don't get translated.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. I wondered if my pronunciation was off. I just wasn't really sure how to ask you that.
Yeah, no, it's one of those names that's a little tricky to know how to pronounce. When I was a kid, the teachers would always pronounce it wrong. But the name is making it. I think my parents started a trend because there's all sorts of kids with those sort of variations of that name now that are 5 years old. When I'm at the park, I see them at the park and stuff like that. But
so basically, you're saying you're famous now.
Well, let's not go that. Let's not go that far.
Okay, so it's Kalen. Is that right?
That's right. That's
okay.
Right.
So Kalen is the founder of Mage Mail and Good Links. You're a serial entrepreneur. Is that all correct?
With a C, Cereal. No,
awesome.
Not with a C. No, that was. I'm not gonna ever say that again. Yes, that's right. That's right.
I don't know if you were here, if you heard me say this, but I actually used that same joke a couple minutes ago when I was introducing you while you were kind of in another blog. Yeah,
I didn't, dude, but we're on the same page, man.
Yeah, so that makes me happy. I was telling the audience okay, I just want to let you guys know I have really awful jokes, and that was an example of my awful jokes.
They probably thought that was scripted, and we're like, it wasn't scripted. They were just both literally that bad. All right, so speaking of an audience, how many people are up in this fiesta right now?
It looks like there are 7.
Okay.
7 people up in this fiesta, and you guys can ask questions if you like. If you type /question, I think it'll pop up on our questions, and we'll try and get to it as time permits.
Nice. By the way, am I staring at my big pet peeve with video is when people are staring sideways. So I try to put the thing right by where my camera is, so I look like I'm looking at the camera. Do I look like that, or do I look like I'm looking diagonally?
You do look like you're looking at the camera. Do I look like I'm looking at the camera?
Let me zoom in on you. Let me zoom. Nah, a little diagonal. You got to put the trick is to put the video right below where the camera is on the laptop or whatever. That's the magic trick. But this is your show, so you can look wherever you want to look.
Am I doing it now?
Yeah. There we go. That feels right.
I centered you right on the page. So now you're going to know when I look at myself and be like,
You're like, why does he keep looking at himself? He's such a self-looker. The only weird thing about video is I don't want to see myself. I would just want to hide. You know what I mean? Isn't it weird to see yourself when you're on?
It is. And especially to see yourself moving, I'm making this movement right now.
Right. I look, you know what I do is I take a little sticky pad and I just cover myself. That way it's just a lot more natural. There we go.
Oh, that's ingenious.
Showing you guys the tricks of the trade. All right.
Boom.
See, now it feels like a semi-normal half
conversation.
We just got 8. We just got an 8th visitor. Should I tweet this? Should I retweet this?
Yeah, we should definitely both tweet this.
How do you have a tweet I could retweet, or do I just, let me just link to it. I can just link to it, right?
Yeah, on the left side, there's a tweet. You can post a tweet from blog.
Tweeted, done. We're live.
Now we're gonna get lots of people.
No, trust me. Even if you have 1,800 followers, 90% of them are spam bots, and you get if you're lucky, you get 1 click when you post a link.
I guess that's true.
Don't believe the hype.
All right, so let's dive in. I've got a little outline here, as recommended by Kalen. Man,
Hey,
I'm
you
really
got it
trying.
right that time.
Yes.
Say it 10 times fast. No, I'm just kidding. Don't.
I was
Please
like,
don't.
no, I can't do that.
By the way, are people posting questions and stuff? This whole Blab UI is kind of blowing my mind. I'm not really seeing.
No, so questions are on the left side of the screen. That's what I was looking at earlier when I was like, "Oh, what's
Got it.
that?"
Okay, got it. Perfect.
And then you can chat if you really wanted to chat with our viewers on the right side.
Perfect.
And random fact: apparently, Jason Fried and
we just got a 9th visitor. I'm going to stop interrupting you. I promise. I'm going to stop interrupting you.
You're just really excited about this, aren't you?
I'm a little pumped. I did, after all, try to invest in your company. You turned me down. So we'll talk about that. We'll get into that.
I don't know how I feel about you bringing that up on the show.
Yeah, well, let's scratch. We're going to cut that from the record. This isn't live, right? We're just going to cut that.
My dad is actually supposed to watch this, so if my dad's watching, shout out to him.
Yeah, say, hey, Dad, I turned down my first investor. He'll be proud.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I think I've told you this, but my dad's a software engineer, and then both of my grandparents are software engineers.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
So yeah, it's a legacy that I have to live up to.
Right.
Looking back on it, I didn't really have a choice, I guess, to join software engineering. But
I almost thought it almost sounded like you were going to say I didn't have a choice to join the circus. Like it sounded like that's what you're going to say. You never joined the circus, just to be clear.
Well, my brother. Never mind. I'm not going to get into that.
It's a long story.
So let's stop talking about me. Let's talk about you.
I feel good
Kalen.
about that. Kalen, for crying out loud.
Man, if you could just call me out every time that I say it wrong,
believe
please.
me, I'll do it. I'll do it each and every time.
All right. So let's talk about your career a little. When did you start working remote?
So that was I did freelance work remotely way back in the dinosaur ages. When was this? So about 3 years out of college, which I graduated in 2003. So what's that? 2006. I started doing freelance, and then I did freelance stuff, and then that sort of crashed and burned. That's a fun story we can talk about sometime. And then I went back and got a job, and I did a regular in-office job for another 4 years. And then when I got out of that, I'm not going to try to do math in public. When I got out of that, whatever year that was, was when I started working for Sweet Tooth, and I really dove into Magento. Okay. And that was the beginning of when I've been working remote sort of contiguously.
So then in a way, Magento kind of allowed you to work remote. Is that
yeah,
kind of
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So, and for those of you who don't know, who are watching, Magento is an e-commerce platform with no relation to eBay anymore, but they used to be related to eBay. And so I don't really know what we say about them now. They're just a company because they split off.
Just a regular old company with no parent, like an orphan child wandering in the wilderness. These
analogies are really great. They've got to be keeping just our viewers just
there. I can feel the energy in the room. They're psyched. They're pumped.
So what kind of, did you decide to go remote, or was it kind of forced upon you from management? Or
yeah, they were like, look, man, we don't want to see you in the office. We don't want you anywhere near us. No. So I didn't really decide specifically to work remote. When I was at this last job and I was a project manager, and we didn't really have a specialty. So we did Facebook apps and Flash stuff and all sorts of stuff. And then when I decided I really wanted to specialize, I felt like there's a lot of power in really specializing. And then I decided to get into Magento because I looked around and I said, hey, this is probably a profitable space to be in. That was before I even thought it was a cool community. I was just like, yeah, it looks like we can make some money. Let's make some money. And then why is my cell phone blowing up? Oh, it's just my reminders about my various meetings and stuff. I think I have a meeting actually in 15 minutes. So let's
blow through this.
Let's blow through it. So so then I decided I wanted to get into Magento, and it just so happened that the first company that snatched me up was in Canada, was Sweet Tooth. And so it just sort of happened like that.
Man, wow, that's really cool. So then working in Canada from California.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously you could make jokes about, them being in the freezing cold while you're just hanging
We,
out in shorts.
we got jokes all day long on that topic. That was like 90% of what we talked about at any given time.
That's pretty great. I worked for a company in Los Angeles and I live in Alabama. And so they were all talking about water. And I was like, I got water, like, and I don't really pay for it. I think my water bill is like $10 a month.
Right.
Obviously you're in Los Angeles, right?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I keep looking at my phone. I'm in Monrovia, which is just a little bit east of Pasadena, which is in Los Angeles.
Okay. So then your water bill is crazy. Is that right?
I think it's included. My wife handles the bills mostly. We have like an apartment. I'm sure if we had a house, it would be separate. But yeah, so easy peasy.
That's nice. That's very nice. All right. So what are some advantages that you see and some disadvantages to working remote?
Number 11 just came in. Can we see their names so we can like shout them out by name? That would be so much fun.
So Mr. Wake Up Better is watching.
That doesn't sound like a fake account at all. What's up, Wake Up Better?
He's a motivational speaker, sales trainer, entrepreneur, millionaire coach.
Definitely a real account. Sorry, I completely forgot the question.
I asked you. Hey, you just said hello. What's up? Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, cool. I see that. Nice. It's amazing.
Yeah, this is. I think it's really, really interesting. We also have some subscribers from. What is that? Belgium? I think that's Belgium.
Nice.
And Italy. Belgium and Italy.
Italia. Benvenido. Okay. I don't know why you decided to put me on a live camera.
I mean, I don't know either. I'm regretting it.
That was a poor decision. Okay, now his comments are sort of, how are you guys doing? Doing good. Lol right back at you, bro.
I'm pretty sure that's LOL, laugh out loud.
Yeah.
That was a joke as well.
Okay, good. That was good. I'm starting to understand. The joke. Yeah. I forgot the question again. Question.
Downsides and downsides to working remote.
Upsides are that no traffic. You can focus. I think so much of the time, especially if you're a developer, something like that, you're in an office, people come tap you on the shoulder. Now, some places have a headphone policy, which I think is smart. If somebody's rocking out to the headphones, you don't bug them. You treat them as if they're, busy, because just task switching is, for developers and any, I think, creative, task switching is such a huge sink on your productivity.
Yeah.
So definitely, those are upsides. The downsides are just lonely as all heck a lot of the time. I think, for starters, just got a number 12. For starters, initially you're like, wow, this is amazing. This is going to be amazing. And then there's this funny tweet I saw, and it says, you've probably seen it. It's made the rounds. It says, day number 1, working remote, like, yay, this is awesome. Day number 15, I feel sort of lonely. Day number 30, oh, look, the pigeon came again to sit on my windowsill, So I think, you just really have to find ways to deal with that, because you don't realize, but for most people, your coworkers just naturally become a big part of your life, your friendship circle. So you got to be proactive about that, whether it's a church you're involved in or friends, you play basketball or whatever you do. You do meetups like Phil Jackson, or, you have a garage band or something like that. So I think those are the downsides. And there's other down. One of the other big downsides is that you feel like if you're working remote, especially if you're working remote for a company that isn't really remote first, like a company that 100% is all about remote work, like Basecamp or something like that.
Yep.
Is that even though they might be into it, they might not be sure how comfortable they are. There's like a sliding scale of how good they feel about you working remote. So then you always feel like you have to be like 110% on top of your game. Because if you're not, then they're going to be like, yeah, this guy isn't, productive enough or whatever. So it sort of forces you to be really conscious of that. And like, I know somebody that works remote, And he's like, yeah, if I get an email, I have to reply within 10 seconds. Otherwise, I made the 10 seconds up, but quickly. I have to reply quickly. Otherwise, they feel like I'm not there because I'm not there. And if you have to almost be more distracted by communication channels. And another thing I'm big on is like, especially if you're a developer or creative, is blocking out chunks of time to really focus and get stuff done. And if you're communicating all the time, it can kind of disrupt that, you know?
Oh yeah, that's very true. That was something that I've kind of been trying to get really good at, is just, blocking out 6 hours to work on one project and then going ham at it. Totally. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Do you regret starting to work remote? I'm assuming not.
No way. Yeah. I mean, I definitely, the need to connect with people becomes stronger and stronger. And I think most people, even people that start their own businesses, eventually go to a co-working space, start an office. It's very rare, even as you start to meet different people in different situations. I think it's very rare that someone stays working remote from home, especially start talking about having a family and kids. Which my kids are in the other room. Hopefully they're not going to scream too much. It becomes very rare for somebody to keep doing that, because it can become more and more maddening on different levels. But no, I definitely don't regret it. I think it's really great.
Yeah. I'm definitely with you on that. As far as like the maddening part, I live inside a apartment complex, obviously. Where else would I live? And I live in a college town.
I thought you lived in a hole in the ground or something like that.
Yeah, I just had this picture in the hole, and yeah. Anyway, so it's a college town, so the apartment complex is basically just like, it's party central, which is comical because I don't party like at all, and so there's always something going on. Like at 1 a.m, which is like when my prime time is, when I'm working, there's like this huge party going, and the cops are being called and all this. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
Right.
But
so you don't have kids, but you have the same problems in a different form.
Yeah, I don't have any kids that I know about. That's a joke. Right. I don't have any kids. So I did stalk you on Twitter before this interview. There we go. Mm-hmm. And it looks like you're homeschooling your daughter. Is that?
Yes. Technically, my wife does the homeschooling.
Okay.
But I actually wanted to try to start teaching her math, because math was kind of my subject. And I did a little bit, and I've gotten a little busy lately, but I want to do that. It's one of the nice things about having some flexibility in your schedule, is you can do things like that. But yeah, my wife homeschools, which is, it's a huge blessing to be able to do that. And, but it's a mess, it's a hot mess. I mean, most of the time, kids running all over the place. And I try to have a pretty firm, like, if the door's closed, I'm in the office, like, don't come in kind of a policy, because otherwise you just lose all sanity pretty quickly. So I think it's important to have some boundaries, which is another thing that makes it hard, because then it's like, dad's here, but he's not really here. And like, your kids come in and you want to like play with them, but then you have to be like, no, I'm working. So it creates this whole dynamic. And it is funny because I don't know, a month or so back, I went to a co-working space like 2 days in a row. I was going to try to do the co-working thing. And so I was gone during the day, and I come back at the end of the day, and my daughter's like, Daddy, she's like so happy to see me. And I was like, that's kind of nice. Like, I wouldn't mind having that. Like, that's how most, daughter-father relationships work. You come home at the end of the day and they're happy to see you. So
yeah, that is cool. I was homeschooled.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
And my dad works remote. And so we were kind of in that same scenario, except for like, I'm a dude.
Right. That's really cool, man. I got to pick your brain about that.
Yeah, by all means. But so it made things really, I'm super close to my parents, for better or for worse.
Hey, I think that's for better, man. I think no matter how you slice it, that's for better,
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. So yeah, I would totally encourage you to, that's rocking. You should, keep doing that. All right, so we got 6 minutes left. I'm
Yes.
watching the clock intently.
Let's make them count. Let's make them count.
Tips and tricks. What are your secrets, your hacks to?
We're gonna all sign NDAs, right? So that I can give out all my tips and tricks.
Yeah, totally.
Everybody's already signed those. Okay, good.
All 14 people. We need you guys to sign that.
Okay, real quick. Twitter. You can probably hear them yelling in the background. So apologies.
I heard that one. You're good.
You want the work from home experience. You're getting it. You're getting the real deal. I think for me, Twitter has been good. What I like to use, but there's some tips and there's some positives and negatives. What I like about Twitter is when I'm in the nice zone and stuff like that, I'll dive into some work maybe for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and try to get some work done. And then when I'm done and I come up from air, I'll pop onto Twitter. And so it's funny because a lot of people thought that I was just on all the time. And sometimes I am on a little more than I need to be. But the ideal way, I think, for me is I pop on in between, going into the zone. And that can be a great way to just kind of connect with people, post stuff you're working on, like, oh, I just worked on this, and then, stuff like that, while at the same time giving you time to focus and stuff like that. And that's I love about asynchronous communication. One of the things that a tip I would say is keep your notifications off, whether that's Twitter or whatever, except for like urgent. Like if somebody needs to text me if something's urgent, they can text me. But if they email me, I'll close Slack down a lot of times, Twitter and stuff, because if I'm in the zone, I need to be in the zone. So I think that's the tip is keep your notifications off, and that way you can control when you want to go in and connect or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think Twitter can be a great way to connect with people online and kind of share what you're up to and build relationships and stuff like that can turn into like real life relationships and stuff like that. There's probably like a million other things that aren't coming to mind right now as far as tips. I think also, wow, she's really picking up the volume over there. This is going to be great. I think also just like setting expectations. I don't know if they can hear how loud she is.
It's not that loud for us.
Oh, okay, perfect, because it's like super loud for me. Also, as a parent, like you get finely tuned to the sound of your kid crying to where it just like it's like was it it's like it instantly triggers you to feel tense. Okay, anyway.
Like the nails on the chalkboard.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's like you're trained to automatically feel stressed out. Everybody's like, that doesn't sound too bad. I could listen to that all day long. I think another thing, managing expectations. So, for example, communication channels at work. Like I said, I have a friend and he was like, look, I have to be, if an email comes in, I need email notifications. So now every 10 minutes you're coding, email comes in and you get distracted, and you could do a whole episode on task switching because there's so much overhead to that. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of studies that have been done on that kind of thing and stuff like that. I say a lot of studies have been done. I'm pretty sure there's been studies done on it.
That's something that Tim Ferriss talks about a lot in the 4-Hour Work Week is like task switching. It kills productivity.
It's huge.
So you want to get to that 4-hour work week, which we're all striving for.
All day, every day.
Then task switching is going to kill you. All right. So now we got 2 minutes left. I'm watching this clock like a hawk. Tell us a little bit about Good Links. Good Links is your latest endeavor, right?
Yeah, Good Links is the new thing I'm working on, it's I call it the content outreach service that matters. Basically,
all the other ones don't matter.
That's horrible. You laughed at. No, what I mean by that is the idea is to actually create jobs. It does sound kind of funny. To create jobs for people in the world of content outreach. So content marketing is you put out good content, whether it's a blog post or a video, whatever, and you can attract people to your business, to your e-commerce store, to whatever. Outreach means you reach out to people and ask them to link up to it, to whatever. What you did getting me on the show was outreach because you could have posted a tweet, a blog about your thing. I would have seen it. I would have thought, that's cool. I probably wouldn't have hit you up and said, hey, let me be on your thing. But all you did was you just asked me. We had a relationship. You just asked me. It wasn't spammy. It wasn't anything like that. You just hit me up. And it's a great, we're doing some great things. So that's an example of just outreach. So Good Links is a service to provide outreach to people to sort of turbocharge their content marketing efforts. And so I'm on like day 15 of it. I'm podcasting sort of transparently the whole process of starting the business, income, expenses, that whole deal.
So you're like the next Buffer then.
We'll see. I doubt I'm gonna Buffer is, but that's an interesting thing is because Buffer put their numbers on Bear Metrics, and that was an inflection point, I think, for both of them because the transparency can help to grow business. Now, it's also true that that's more so the case when the first companies to be transparent. It's sort of becoming a common pattern, so it's less of a amazing thing these days, but you still probably get a little bit of a bump from it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. We are at our time limit on the dot.
All right. Good man.
So I don't really know how to end one of these things. How do you end a podcast?
Yeah, you just say, hey, thanks for listening. Post a comment here, and I'll talk to you next time.
Hey, guys, thanks for listening. Post a comment on YouTube. That's where this is going to be.
Perfect.
and follow us on Twitter, RemoteTogether, or RemoteTogether.com. And then you can find Kalen Jordan.
Kalen, for the love of God.
Kalen Jordan at goodlinks.io.
Yeah.
And you can find him on Twitter as Kalen Jordan.
Yes, at Kalen Jordan.
At Kalen Jordan. Thanks for listening, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, bro. Peace.
See you, Kalen. All right.